Smith, bring down the net all at once. Aye, Captain. Understood. I carefully give instructions to the crew, taking into account the weather and the flow of the tide for the day. Any moment of hesitation could lead to losing the school of fish. It's a daily high-stakes gamble. I'm John Davis, 45 years old. The town where I was born and raised thrives on fishing, and I've been a fisherman since graduating high school. Being a fisherman is a tough job, both physically and mentally demanding. Moreover, my fishing boat operates offshore, meaning once we set sail, we can be away for several days. Even if something serious happens to my family back on land, I can't rush back. Surprisingly, fishermen's wives are often strong-willed. Taking care of my home while I'm away falls to my wife, Karen. While I might not say it publicly, she's my pride and joy. Karen is cheerful, has a good appearance, and above all, she's skilled at cooking, delighting the family. Despite my frequent absences, she rarely complains. Karen gets along well with the wives of my fellow fishermen. She is sharp and even led them to establish a fish processing facility during my absence. The crew admires Karen like their own mothers, and she has raised our daughter Emily quite well. I didn't blindly spend money on Emily's education. We showered her with love and wholeheartedly supported her interests. As a result, she got into one of the top universities in the state. It's rude to Karen, but she has no fashion sense. For example, her hairstyle is out of fashion, and she always wears outdated outfits. Yet her universally loved personality and cheerful nature are perfect for a fisherman's wife. I trust Karen wholeheartedly, leaving the home in her capable hands. This winter, Emily is preparing for entrance exams to a highly competitive university. Embarrassingly, neither Karen nor I have ever been concerned about education levels, and we've never experienced the rigors of university exams. So the only thing Karen and I can do is pray diligently. Karen, who can't sit still or stand still, goes to various churches and buys charms. She always attaches them to Emily's bag. "Mom, if you mix so many things, even God will get confused," Emily would say, grumbling but smiling happily. We earnestly wish for Emily's good health and perform well in the exams. 2 weeks before the exam, while I was out fishing, I spent my waiting time searching on my phone. I was looking at numerous sites about the mindset of parents of exam takers and what parents should support. Looking at numerous sites, I was surprised at how much effort every parent was putting in. Reading them made me nervous. Then it happened. Unexpectedly, I received a call from Emily herself. Calling me instead of Karen was unusual, indicating something serious. I wondered what had happened. "Emily, it's rare for you to call me. What's going on?" "Dad, what should I do? Something terrible happened. Mom left a note and left the house." "I can't believe that she left before your exams. Karen wouldn't do something like that." "It's true. Mom left," Emily replied. While comforting the deeply shaken Emily, I felt turmoil within myself. Karen, who values family more than anyone else, left home. I was fortunate that it happened on the last day of fishing, and the day was exceptionally good for the catch. I can't tell anyone the fact that Karen left, no matter what. I quickly made up reasons for the crew, and my boat hastily returned to the port. When I arrived home, it was already dark outside. When I opened the door in a rush, Emily was sitting on the floor. "Dad, this is it. Mom's note?" Distraught, Emily handed me a crumpled piece of paper. Indeed, in Karen's neat handwriting, there was a note that said, "Thank you for everything, and goodbye." Emily explained that she found it in the trash. I looked around the chilling room, taking it all in. Did Karen leave in a hurry? The room was left in disarray. "Hey, isn't it strange? Mom is so organized. She never leaves the room messy when going out." "Yeah, you're right. It's unlike her," I responded. Both Emily and I waited anxiously for any communication from Karen, but on that day, she didn't return. The morning arrived without any sleep. I contacted relatives, but there was no news of Karen. We filed a missing person report with the police, and along with Emily, waited for Karen to come back. It's my fault. I was so irritated with the exam. During the exam, I became overwhelmed and took it out on my mom. That's not true. Karen has always been my biggest supporter. In a state of panic, I took on the role of Emily's mother and decided to stay at home. It was the first time I had stopped fishing, even after my parents passed away. I explained the situation to the crew and made sure they understood the circumstances. Not setting sail wasn't just my problem, it meant the crew would lose their livelihood. I knew I shouldn't do it as a captain, but I couldn't leave Emily alone on land without Karen. In the early afternoon, one of my crew members, Smith, rushed to my home. "Captain, is it true that Mrs. Karen is missing?" Smith, a crew member planning to start his own boat this spring, asked. He came to my house as soon as he heard the situation, comforting the downhearted Emily. But that wasn't all. Worried about Karen, and for the absent captain, Smith volunteered to act as a temporary captain. He did it for the sake of the crew's daily lives, and I was grateful to have such a reliable subordinate. While supporting Emily in her studies just before the exams, I also had to manage unfamiliar household chores. Not only washing dishes, but also doing laundry and cooking were tough tasks. Fortunately, thanks to Karen's thorough teaching of Emily, I was able to learn while being guided by her uncertain hands. I couldn't help but wonder if Karen had been doing all these countless things every day. I realized how much I had relied on her kindness. "Karen, please come back. Both Emily and I will do our best, so please show us your face." I repeatedly called out in my mind, but there was still no clue about her disappearance. And as Karen remained missing, the day of the exam finally arrived. While accompanying the disheartened Emily and preparing to leave the house a bit early, something unexpected happened. It was still early in the morning, around 6 o'clock, when someone came to our house. Wondering who it could be at such an early hour, we opened the door. To our surprise, there stood a police officer wearing a mask and Karen with bandages wrapped around her head. "Mom!" Emily exclaimed, half crazed, as she approached Karen and hugged her tightly, as if confirming her mother's presence. While comforting Emily's sobbing back, Karen, covered in wounds, also burst into tears. Watching the two of them, I gently wiped away tears with my fingers. I apologized for the early hour. The formal procedures are not yet complete, but Karen insisted on coming urgently. I brought her here while verbally confirming the address. Actually, Karen was climbing towards the church at the mountaintop when she slipped on a frozen, snowy path, falling from the mountain trail. She suffered significant injuries all over her body and lost consciousness for several days, even though she was quickly taken to the hospital. The police officer began to explain matter-of-factly. "It seems that Karen went to a church in the neighboring state to buy charms for Emily's success prayer and as a farewell gift for my subordinate Smith, who was planning to become independent. Since the church was built on top of a mountain, a little mountain climbing was necessary. However, she slipped and accidentally fell while climbing, resulting in the accident. Even so, she managed to grab onto a branch on the way down, reducing the impact of the fall. Fortunately, there was a passerby behind her, and she was quickly rescued by the rescue team." Karen suffered significant injuries all over her body during the fall, and she lost her smartphone and wallet when she tumbled. She was immediately taken to the hospital afterward, but it was challenging to identify Karen's personal information as her belongings were not found. Furthermore, the unfortunate events continued. Even though Karen regained consciousness safely a week later, the impact to her head during the fall was significant, leading to temporary memory loss. Even though her health had recovered to the point where she could be discharged from the hospital, both the hospital and the police were at a loss as to who this woman was. Tomorrow marks the start of the university entrance exams. To all the students taking the exams, do your best. At that moment when the television news was broadcasted, suddenly, as if she had a revelation, she started speaking. "Exam takers, university entrance exams, the common test. Emily is waiting for me. I have to cheer for her." Concerned about Karen repeating her words like a delirium, the doctor contacted the police. In a hurry, they brought Karen to the address she provided, revealing the truth behind this disappearance incident. Last night, it seems the police tried to call our home as well. However, due to the setting that prevented the ringtone from sounding for calls from unregistered numbers, and with all the hustle and bustle, we didn't notice. When I checked the phone, there was a voicemail. Finally, with her memory restored, Karen managed to make it just in time for Emmy's entrance exam. Karen herself was feeling quite down as she had inconvenienced everyone and wasn't in the best health. John, I messed up. I'm really sorry. And Emily, I couldn't be there for you during the most crucial time. And truth be told, I actually dropped the charm I bought. I'm a lousy mom. I'm truly sorry. What are you saying? Your presence is my charm. You're the guardian angel of our home. So, from now on, don't leave the house without telling us, okay? While talking, both Karen and Emily are breaking down in tears. The police officer was nodding in agreement while their eyes welled up with tears. For the past 2 weeks, I hadn't felt alive, but finally I could breathe a sigh of relief from the bottom of my heart. Really, my wife is truly grateful to the police and hospital staff for taking care of her. I thanked the police officer multiple times and immediately contacted Smith, who was out at sea. While listening to the voices of the crew celebrating Karen's safety on the ship, I couldn't hold back the overflowing tears. Thanks to everyone's support, Emily's exams went well, and she successfully advanced to the first term of the National University of her choice. Karen is also receiving home treatment, just to be safe, and our home has finally returned to its normal routine. With the hectic days settling down, I suddenly remembered and asked about the note that was left behind. Because of this note, both Emily and I thought you had disappeared, causing a big commotion. Then Karen asked, "What are you talking about?" and handed over the crumpled letter. "Oh, this paper. Mr. Smith is going to become an independent captain this spring, right?" I was trying to come up with a congratulatory message, but I couldn't quite express it well. That's when I remembered. When John became captain, he received a charm for maritime safety from the captain at that time. Actually, Karen said that she decided to buy the same charm she received when I, a young me, became independent. In a hurry, she went to the church to get it. She should have consulted with me first, but I was about to say that, but seeing Karen bowing her head, I couldn't. I couldn't bring myself to speak. I was always absent and unavailable when she wanted to consult with me. So, Karen decided to handle everything by herself during this time. Making decisions and taking action immediately, it was a typical mistake of Karen's style. As spring approaches, once I have safely seen Emily off to university, I plan to visit the church at the mountaintop with Karen. Let's buy a maritime safety charm for Smith this time. When I said that, Karen blushed but smiled happily. Thank you. You're right. From now on, I should rely on you, John. This time I have to make sure to support Karen from behind so she won't accidentally fall again. With that thought in mind, I smiled back at Karen.